We must this morning start with the devastating storms that have been slamming the Deep South, with more than 100 million Americans in the path of destruction. Tornadoes twisted through several states in the last 24 hours, killing at least 16 people. My colleague Morgan Chesky is in Monroe, Louisiana. Monroe, tell us, what's the latest there?
Yeah, Steph, good morning. And what a brutal reminder for so many people that Mother Nature waits for no pandemic. And we're seeing that in the case of these deadly spring storms. I'm in front of one of the more than 300 homes that have been damaged here in Monroe. This storm system moving from Louisiana across the South, leaving a massive trail of destruction. We know that people were doing exactly what officials were asking them to do, staying at home amidst those coronavirus concerns, those COVID-19 orders that were issued by officials. And now a lot of those people are walking outside with no place to call home, Steph. And that's one of the big concerns facing officials going forward. We know Governor John Bel Edwards expected to tour the damage here in Louisiana today. And already we've seen the governor of Alabama temporarily suspend those stay-at-home orders to make sure that everyone can go to community shelters and areas where they can seek refuge. We've seen videos coming in overnight of people doing their best to socially distance inside those spaces, but obviously a major concern going forward as people now have another concern on top of a pandemic to deal with. And in the meantime, those storms are churning their way to the north. 700,000 people are currently without power. That number may only be going up. And in Mississippi, meanwhile, 11 lives have been lost from one of the massive tornadoes that made its way through. We know that twister stuff was so strong, they were seeing elements on radar that showed it through debris 50 miles away from its funnel. Steph?
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.